Welcome, Richard, to another Fantasy Goodfellas video where we're going to talk about the top 24 quarterback rankings for Week 5. You ready?
I'm ready.
Fantasy Goodfellas.
Boom, boom, boom.
Rolling on the field.
Fantasy Goodfellas. All right, before we get started on this week's rankings, can you let us know how we did on last week's rankings?
Okay, well, if you excuse our quarterbacks 21 and 22, who were Teddy Bridgewater and Garoppolo, based on the fact that they left their games because of injury, we hit on 19 of the remaining 22 and 16 of our top 17.
Boom, boom, boom. All right, let's see if we can keep it going. For the top 24 quarterback rankings for Week 5, Richard, take it over.
And number 1, Patrick Mahomes, home against Buffalo in what should be a shootout.
This week's shootout. Patrick Mahomes threw 5 touchdowns last week. You think he can do that this week?
That's tough. 5 touchdowns is tough, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Josh Allen against Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be awesome. And number 2, Kyler Murray, home against San Francisco.
You think Kyler Murray is going to have some trouble with that San Francisco defense?
Kyler Murray has been super consistent. I don't care about the 49ers defense. He's going to have another big game. And number 3, Josh Allen, who will be at Kansas City.
Looks like this week's Allen's chance to show who's the number 1 quarterback. Do you think he has it in him?
He absolutely has it in him. I can't tell you who's going to win there, Kansas City or Buffalo. Buffalo might have the edge because their defense is better. Kansas City's defense is horrible, which means big stats for Josh Allen. And number 4, Matthew Stafford at Seattle in what should be a shootout.
This week's shootout. I see Stafford's moving up your rankings. I guess you like him.
He's been very consistent. Last week he had a little trouble with Arizona, but I expect him to rebound. He's looking great in that McVay offense. And number 5, Dak Prescott, home against the Giants.
Dak Prescott's probably impressing everybody, including me. 4 touchdowns last week. What's he do this week?
Yeah, Dak Prescott has looked amazing. What injury? I expect him to have a big game against the Giants, and the Giants might score a lot of points as well. So this could potentially be a high-scoring game. And number 6, Russell Wilson, home against the Rams, in which should be a shootout.
Russell Wilson had an okay game, but he had 3 touchdowns. Is he going to do that again this week?
Yes, he is. And it's going to be another week where Seattle's going to have to rely on Wilson and not the running game, because they're going to need to score a lot of points to keep up with the Rams. And number 7, Aaron Rodgers at Cincinnati.
Here's another quarterback that runs it in for a touchdown. Just how do you think he does this week?
I think he's going to have a good week. That Cincinnati defense is a little suspect, and Burrow's going to put up points. So this could potentially be a high-scoring game. And number 8, Tom Brady, home against the Miami Dolphins.
Looked like Belichick knew how to slow Brady down. Do you think Flores has that same opportunity?
He does, but I don't think Brady's going to have 2 quiet games in a row. I think Brady's going to have a big game, unfortunately, against the Dolphins. And 9, Justin Herbert, home against Cleveland.
Justin Herbert's going against that Cleveland defense, and they slow down Cousins. Do you think they can slow him down?
I don't think they can stop 2 good quarterbacks in a row. I think Herbert obviously is better than Cousins. I think Herbert's just going to keep that train rolling. And number 10, Lamar Jackson, home against Indianapolis.
All right. You always have something to say about Lamar Jackson, but he did have 316 passing yards. What do you got to say about him this week?
You know, that was an anomaly, but you know, Lamar Jackson was, depending on your scoring system, was QB 14 to 15 this week. I continue to say he's fool's gold. He's very overrated, but when he does have monster games, they're tremendous. And number 11, Jalen Hurts at Carolina.
Do you think Jalen Hurts just can continue being this dynamic?
I believe so. I think Jalen Hurts is always going to be near the top 10 every week because he is so dynamic, because he passes and he runs. And, you know, at this point, we're into week 5. It looks like he can do this consistently. And number 12, Kirk Cousins, home against Detroit.
Kirk Cousins is going against Detroit. You don't think he should be ranked higher because of his matchup?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins has a great matchup, but as he showed us at points last year, he's inconsistent. just had a clunker against the Browns. He's not elite. Number 13, Joe Burrow, home against the Packers.
Joe Burrow's playing well. What do you think's holding him back from being even better?
Well, Joe Burrow, he's coming off that injury. We'll see how he progresses. But his ceiling is Matt Stafford-like. The issue with him is he doesn't run. And number 14, Derek Carr, home against Chicago.
Derek Carr had a slow game last night, missed a couple key passes. How do you think he does this week?
We've seen Derek Carr several years now. He's an inconsistent quarterback. He's never been elite. I don't know if he can ever be elite. I just expect more inconsistency. And number 15, Sam Darnold, home against Philadelphia.
When are you going to give Sam Darnold the credit he deserves, huh? Tell me.
Look, Sam Darnold is not a top 10 quarterback. Carolina's done well so far, but at some point it's going to fall apart. Listen, this is a big upgrade for him. He's going to consistently be in our top 24. He's just not going to be in our top 10. And number 16, Daniel Jones at Dallas.
I think you expected him to have a good game last week. He did. How does he do this week?
Daniel Jones is doing things with his legs. He's making fantasy magic happen, and he also threw for over 400 yards. Well, he's going to have to do it again to keep up with Dak Prescott. And number 17, Trey Lance at Arizona.
This is the time you've been waiting for. Trey Lance is starting. How does he do?
Trey Lance, in just one half, made the top 24 in week 4. Imagine a full game. There is potential here, big potential. At 18, Ryan Tannehill at Jacksonville.
Ryan Tannehill performed pretty good even without his 2-star wide receivers being out. How does he do this week?
Ryan Tannehill could be missing A.J. Brown and Julio Jones again. And he's not a world beater. I've been saying it all of last year, all of this year. He's a game manager. So I expect him to do well, but not extraordinary. And number 19, Matt Ryan, home against the Jets.
Okay, last week you said Matt Ryan doesn't have it in him to have a blowout game. He was number 2 last week. What do you say about that?
I think Matt Ryan is a shell of his former self. You can look at Ridley and Pitts and their numbers. Look, he kept hitting Cordarrelle Patterson. That's an anomaly. I don't expect him to be a top 10 quarterback or a top 15 quarterback all season. And number 20, Jameis Winston at Washington.
We're in the same fantasy league, and I know you didn't start Winston last week. Do you believe in this guy?
I believe in Jameis Winston. I just don't think Peyton does. They give the ball to Taysom Hill inside the 10. They limit the amount of passing he does. He threw for 5 touchdowns week 1, but still limited yardage. And I think that trend will continue until they set him loose. At 21, Mac Jones at Houston.
Do you think Mac Jones is the best rookie quarterback this year?
I don't. He looked good against the Bucs, but he's not mobile. He's constantly going to be blitzed like he was against the Bucs. I don't think he's going to do that great. At 22, Taylor Heineke, home against New Orleans.
When are you going to give a little bit more credit to Heineke and put him higher on your rankings?
Look, Heineke can do some fantasy damage. In fact, he helped me in one league where I'm desperate at quarterback, but I still don't think long-term he's going to be a solution for the Redskins or for fantasy owners. And number 23, Zach Wilson at the Falcons.
You got Zach Wilson in your top 24. Is he a top 24 quarterback, or is it just because of the matchup?
It's because of the matchup. Wilson hasn't had a great season, had a decent game last week, has a great matchup this week, has a chance for momentum. I still don't think he's top 24. And number 24, Trevor Lawrence, home against the Titans.
Trevor Lawrence barely made your top 24 quarterback rankings, but do you think he's the best rookie quarterback?
Listen, this is a tough class. So far, I think they've all stunk. We've seen some signs, right, from Mac Jones, from Zach Wilson. Trey Lance is going to play now. Justin Fields does not look good. Overall, the rookie class has looked terrible.
Thanks for coming on here and sharing your top 24 quarterback rankings for week 5.
Remember to like, subscribe, send me questions in the comment section. We're here all year.
Fantasy Goodfellas.
Boom, boom, boom. Rolling on the field.
Fantasy Goodfellas.